Hello everybody, this is Hunter from the Elder Bonsai channel, and anyway, I have a question from a viewer. The viewer's name on YouTube is Tjakatoik, I think. Anyway, I'll just write their name up here. Anyway, they're from Belgium, and they had a question for me. They had a bonsai tree that was suffering from leaf drop, and it stopped growing, and it seemed like it was suffering for several months and degrading slowly. And what I thought first was it's probably a soil issue, because a lot of times, not only bonsai trees, but just regular potted trees in general, not necessarily like other things like vegetables or other like vining fruits or something, but trees especially, something that's going to live a very long time in a pot, needs specific requirements in order for it to be at optimal health for its full life, because you don't really want your tree to get sick and start degrading in health over time. And that will happen if you're growing in the wrong type of soil that the tree doesn't really want to grow in. Now, this tree here was suffering the same issue that this person was suffering. I had it growing in potting soil, which everyone thinks is okay for growing things in pots, and it generally is okay. It's generally pretty good to grow in. But for long-term use, it can cause some issues because trees, they're kind of fickle. They don't really like dry roots and they don't really like wet roots. They like somewhere in between. They like good aeration in their soil, as well as good drainage and also good water retention. So it's kind of a fine line you have to walk with trees. Now, some trees are more forgiving than others, and usually you'll be fine with your trees if you pay close attention to them. But so this guy here, this is a starfruit or a carambola tree, and it was suffering from the same issue. It had leaf drop, and it was looking really bad. It stopped growing and it started dropping leaves, and I was wondering what's wrong with it. And the leaves were also kind of turning a yellow color, and then I was thinking I probably have a water issue. And the soil that I was growing in at the time was pure potting soil, and that led to the roots to get root bound as well as being too moist for too long. And so the tree was slowly dying, and how I fixed that was I changed the soil, and this is what I recommended the person that I talked to do. I recommend a soil change into more of a bonsai soil mix. Now this doesn't always have to be for a bonsai tree. You can do this for other trees. Like this tree this is not a bonsai tree. I'm growing this for two reasons: for fun and for fruit. This makes beautiful fruit, and I love the taste of starfruit, so I kind of want to get starfruit off this at some point. But so I've been growing this tree not as a bonsai tree, just kind of for my enjoyment. And it's not in a bonsai pot. As you can see, this is most definitely not a bonsai pot. That's not an attractive pot. And I'm not pruning it in any way that would be appealing to the eyes. I'm growing it for structure and support. I forked off some of the branches up here with some pruning methods, and I'm growing this to yield fruit rather than look good. So you don't have to use this soil just for bonsai trees. You can use it for other trees as well. But I would stick to using this mainly for trees and some bushes or something, but I wouldn't typically use this for growing vegetables per se. Like tomato plants, that's actually a fruit, but tomato plants probably wouldn't do too well in this soil. Neither would peppers. Peppers might, but especially things like leafy greens that you want to grow a lot of leaves really quickly. This soil is not really for fast growth. This soil is mainly for health of your tree long term. So things that are going to live a really long time, I recommend growing in this soil. This is an example of a good soil medium for growing trees. This is a combination of organic and inorganic materials, as well as good properties such as fast draining, good water retention, good aeration, and sharp edges. The sharp edges are important for when the roots grow. It helps it keep from getting root bound. It hits the sharp edges and the roots split and go in different directions. This helps keep the roots from getting wrapped around the pot. It just overall helps the vigor and health of your tree long term. Good aeration is important to help get oxygen to the roots. Good drainage is important to make sure that your trees are not sitting in water. And loose aggregate helps the tree's roots grow through it. As you can see, this growing medium has a combination of several different parts that all come together to make one soil. The main ingredient in all my tree soils is this stuff right here. This is called chicken grit. It's basically just ground up granite into very small pebbles. Now this is quite sharp and has some water retaining properties to it, but it's also very good for good drainage and good aeration. Highly recommend this for your soil mediums. The next component to my soil is sphagnum moss. Now this is not to be confused with sphagnum peat moss, which is the dead version of this. This sphagnum moss, I could take it, and if I put it in good lit area and I gave it water, it would turn green and it would actually start to grow. Now what's good about this is this holds 16 to 26 times its weight in water, depending on the variety of sphagnum moss. So this is very, very good at holding water. And also they kind of have these long strands in them, as you can see, and this is good at wicking up water throughout the soil. This third component I have here is regular old potting soil. I believe this is Scott's brand potting soil. Anyway, any potting soil will work. This is good because it holds a good amount of water, and it also has the potential of holding good nutrition. Now you may have noticed I have these little red rock chunks in my soil. Now this is lava rock. I got it at Home Depot. It comes in these bricks that are about this big and they're used for grills, and I just busted them up with a hammer. I wouldn't suggest this to you guys because it really is a pain to get those and bust them up into the small pieces. It's actually very unnecessary. If you can find lava rocks that are already busted up in sizes about this big, go for it. Grow in that. That'd be great. That'd be a great addition to your soil. But I really don't think I'll go through the trouble again of busting up lava rock. That was way too much work for so little in return. Now, depending on the type of tree that you have, you're probably going to have to tailor the soil to fit that tree's needs. Trees that are, say, tropical or like a cypress that require more water than the average tree, you're going to have to put a little bit more of the organic material, such as sphagnum moss or potting soil, in there to help hold more moisture for that tree. Trees like pines or junipers, or even something like citrus that requires faster draining soil and a little bit less water, you're going to want to go a little bit heavier on the inorganics and a little bit lighter on the organics. This way there's faster draining soil and less water retention. So you can always just tailor your soil to fit your tree's needs. Every one of my trees has a little bit different soil depending on what I think the tree's needs are going to be. Now, I thank you guys for joining me today, and I want to say thank you to the person who asked the question, that one. Again, I'll put the name here. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys. You supported me so well in the first video that I put up. I got so many views right off the bat and so many likes. I really appreciate you guys. And thank you guys who subscribed. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say thank you and look forward to hearing from you again. Goodbye.